Let us have a little read of this article from the Irish Times. So the headline, cost of modular homes for Ukrainians doubled to €442,000 each. So it was initially envisaged such residential units would cost €200,000 each. So we read, the cost of developing modular homes for Ukrainians and other beneficiaries of temporary protection, right? So the idea that it's just Ukrainians is now long buried, right? So we continue. Well, it will end up costing more than twice as much per unit as originally envisaged, the state spending watchdog has found. In a report on Monday, the Comptroller and Auditor General said the initial projected cost was an estimated €200,000 per residential unit. This had increased to an average projected cost per unit of about $436,000 by June 2024, an increase of almost 120%. However, the Comptroller's report said that the latest projections of the Department of Children Equality, Disability, Integration and Youth indicated total costs for the project of $289.3 million, indicating a final estimated average cost per unit of $442,000. So, either you're looking at a transfer of wealth on a ridiculous looking scale from your pockets into the government's hands, and then into these construction companies and whatever material companies are involved in this as well, right? You're looking at the amount of modular homes that they originally said they'd be building is after doubling, which would probably allow for the doubling of price. Okay, so either way, it's not positive, right? So you're either looking at the taxpayer of Ireland again getting absolutely ripped off and Irish people being pillaged of their wealth to having it being spent on other people, which hits the criteria for active genocide again. If you are engaged in policies that are making the native population's life considerably more difficult, you are transferring wealth from one group of people to other groups of people specifically. That meets one of the criteria for the UN's Charter on Genocide. But be that as it may, like just look at the numbers. Like, so what's the average house in Ireland? How much does that cost to build? Or how much does that cost to buy? It's probably 350, 400 maybe. And they are now trying to convince you that these little modular homes, which can't be considered permanent dwellings, are costing the same amount as a concrete built home. Do you remember last year or the year before, I think they were saying that the price of petrol is going to go up by 20 cents. And then you had those who were selling diesel and petrol up the prices by 20 cents. And then, the government said they were going to take 20 cents off the price, right? They were going to force that in. And then you had the sellers who pumped up the prices by 20 cents. So when the government forced the 20 cent deduction, these people were still at the same level as it didn't cost them anything. You're looking at a similar sort of thing here, right? So the government will send out these tenders for companies who want to apply to sell these things, right? These modular homes. And because the government have declared that, look, we want to build so many modular homes, these companies are just after boosting up the prices again. And that's at best. That's at best. At worst, you are looking at these handshakes behind the scenes of big companies, big businesses who are in bed with these politicians. Right? And the image can be portrayed of the government being held over a barrel here. But it might not be that at all. Like, it could just be people padding their pockets with your money, whatever the case is, I'm sure it'll be revealed at some stage, long after people have forgotten about it, right? But it's our duty not to forget about this. Like, this is some serious, serious money. What was the final number? So 289.3 million. That's just on the homes, right? That's just on the homes. Is also came out that we were spending like $1 million a month on importing the dogs and the pets of these people that are coming here as well, right? So just staggering amounts of money. Like, when people are roughing it, like the average Irish person is roughing it probably paycheck to paycheck. And what that does is it neuters you of any vision for your future if you're constantly struggling and you see no end to the economic pressures, right? If you don't believe that you're in a situation, or you will be in a situation in the coming future, where you'll be able to allocate more funds towards whatever enterprise or whatever vision you have of the future, then you just stop contemplating things like that. You stop imagining things. You give up hope, and you just become a creature of necessity, right? A creature of subsistence that just plods along to work so you can create wealth for yourself, and then you can have a large percentage of that taken off you by this government and then spent on housing other people who are getting everything for free. They're squeezing the absolute essence out of your life and out of your work, and they're giving it to other people for nothing. Like, that's a terribly sad situation that Irish people have recently found themselves in, because a lot of people are just kind of switching on, going, hang on a second here. And it's also a very sad situation that Irish people continue to allow themselves to be in, right? And I suppose, look, we have a general election coming up, and I would be suggesting that have a little look around at the people that are running around you, and see if there's anything you can put your vote behind that is not part of the party that's in there at the moment, right? And get smart, get savvy, get knowledgeable, and get a bit of an understanding of what's going on here, because there is no end to this that is going to come from the politicians that are already pushing this stuff through. It's generally known and universally known that the Irish people don't want this to continue. If you were to ask each person, you'll have some cranks out there, some lunatics that say they're all for it, but if you ask them to hand over their own money right there and then, give me what's in your wallet to fund this stuff, they would tell you no, right? So most people do not want a bit of this, and we are being held at gunpoint, essentially, and forced to pay for the disintegration of our own country and the total flagrant abuse of your own people, of yourself, of your kids. You're funding a project, you're being forced to fund a project that is dissolving the future for your children in this country. It's guaranteeing your children a future that is far less safe for them than the country you grew up in, right? So make up your own minds on it, but find the right thing for you to do and then go and do it.